All right, so this is not really related to anything we've been watching lately on this podcast. It's just something that came to mind over the week that I was like, oh, I'd like to watch that. It's a Disney cartoon. I guess first I'll say, you got any Disney thoughts? When you first think of Disney cartoons, what do you think of?
I think of Bambi, Cinderella, the real old ones.
Yeah, because they go back to the 40s? Maybe the 30s? I don't know. But those classic ones.
For sure.
Yeah, I was surprised, like Cinderella and Bambi and I think Dumbo maybe? They were a lot further back than I realized they were. They're really far back. And then in my era, I guess, I was becoming a teen at this point, but that's when Little Mermaid and Lion King and Aladdin, a lot of people have a lot of love for those, but I was never a huge fan because that's when they started bringing in let's bring in Phil Collins to write all the music. That was my main problem with them actually, was just the music. I don't like the music in 90s era Disney. It's just really schmaltzy adult contemporary stuff. And then if you go down the list, Disney got really bad in the 2000s, just really lame. And now it's kind of, it's still kind of shaky, but they bought Pixar and transitioned into 3D, and those movies are pretty good. The Pixar stuff is the new Disney, kind of, and of course Disney fucking owns everything now. They own Marvel, they own Star Wars. There's nothing they don't own, and they're only buying more. But I was thinking about, of those eras, that's kind of what you think of. There's the really old stuff, the Cinderella stuff. There's the 90s Aladdin, Beauty and the Beast revival, and then there's the 3D stuff now, where my favorite Disney movie is kind of in Nowheresville. It's right in the middle. It's in the early 70s, and it's the Robin Hood cartoon. Do you remember that?
I never saw it, no.
Yeah, so it was, again, just because it's my favorite. The Jungle Book also is pretty high on my list, and they're both from that same era. Yeah. And I was surprised when I was looking up stuff. There's not actually a lot to say about it. There's not a ton of details necessarily about this cartoon. But it was always my favorite one. I just assumed everybody else agreed it was awesome, but it's not. If you look at the sort of general rankings of Disney cartoons, this one is not at the bottom by any means, but very in the middle. Very much no one really cares, and it's just it's not one of the bad ones, but it's not one of the great ones.
The original ones, their claim to fame was that amazing animation.
Right.
Because it is something. Now you can do all sorts of things with computers, but you couldn't in those days. That was actual hand drawings that were created and put into motion. And up to that point, I think cartoons kind of had a bad rap. The public was like, oh, cartoons. You had Bugs Bunny, which was amazing. Fabulous stuff, too. Different animation, though, but then Walt Disney came out with those fairy tale type stories, and everybody loved them. And the animation was something else in those. And I don't know that they've ever been able to recreate that.
Right.
And in the movies you're talking about, no, it's almost more two-dimensional.
Well, I guess that's what I'm curious to see, because I haven't really seen them in a while. So I'm curious to see, when you look at it now, where it's the middle child, it's not the modern and it's not the really old, it's right in the middle. How will it hold up?
I think it'll hold up. Because the stories themselves were excellent stories. And of course, they threw music in there, right? Didn't they? I don't know if they did in Robin Hood, but definitely in the Jungle Book.
Well, that's one reason why I never liked the 90s era of Disney, is because the songs in the 60s and 70s ones were actually good, the bare necessities and stuff, and Robin Hood, there's, I'll get into it, but there's some great music in this Robin Hood one. So it's they used to have good music, and Phil Collins, what else do I need to say? Schmaltzville, I can't believe how bad.
I like Phil Collins, so there, don't say anymore.
Do you like, though, let me, just out of curiosity here, let me just while we're talking about it, because we're not talking about Genesis here. We're talking about, I'll just bring up one of the songs he did for a Disney movie. And if you like this song, I'll be a monkey's fucking uncle. So let's just take a quick detour. Can You Feel the Love Tonight from The Lion King? Oh, this one is Elton John. And again, I like Elton John. But for some reason, when these people do Disney songs, it's the worst. Whatever. I mean, who cares? It's just
Yeah, I get you.
it's just boring
Syrupy.
though. Yeah, syrupy.
And,
Yeah,
and they're syrupy.
yeah, really just shit. So anyway, I just think that's one of the things I like the most about Robin Hood. Just as a contrary to that, is like so basically the story I guess for me in Robin Hood is back when your law office was at our house. So it was all just our house was the one big house, and you guys had a law firm downstairs in the front, and then in the back was just the living room with TV and stuff. And when you guys were working, we would just be hanging out back there, and we only had so many things on VHS tape because it was the 80s, there was no internet yet. So just whatever was on a tape, we would just throw in the tapes when there's nothing on TV. And one of the tapes, luckily, was this Robin Hood cartoon, so I just remember watching it many times. And this one scene in particular that always stuck with me because it's such a strange thing to do in a kid's movie, and I just feel like they wouldn't really do anymore, is there's this part where everybody and their dog is fucking locked up because, the evil Prince John is taxing everyone to death, and the Sheriff of Nottingham has just come and arrested everyone. And they're all just, it's raining outside, they're in this stone prison, they're all like shackled in. And it's like just the saddest scene in the world of just like everyone's sad, it's raining. There's like these little mice that like everyone's starving too because they're not feeding them enough. So it's like this one dude is like eating whatever little thing he's got, and a little crumb falls out. And one of the little mice, who's also locked up, comes over to get the crumb. And he's like, yes, here, take my crumbs. And he takes the crumbs back to his family. And it's the most pathetic scene in the world. And meanwhile, there's this rooster who's like a troubadour who just sings this song about how every town has its ups and downs. Sometimes ups outnumber the downs, but not in Nottingham. And it's so sad. And I just remember that scene of like, that was awesome. What a cool scene. Like just the opposite of that schmaltzy 90s shit.
Yeah, I get you. Yeah. And
So-
I do remember some of those songs. I never saw those shows, but every year the Oscars are given to, it'll be the best song in a movie. And oftentimes they would do those songs. And I remember thinking, okay, that's the best.
Right. Like, I don't know if Celine Dion ever did one, but she could have. That type of thing. Just the most boring thing. Because, yeah, like, speaking of, like, Phil Collins or that other song by Elton John, yeah, like, if you go back and listen to old Phil Collins Genesis stuff, you go back and listen to old Elton John, it's awesome. You listen to mature Phil Collins and mature Elton John, it's the worst shit in the goddamn world. It's just like whatever energy there was to this is gone. But yeah, so that's the other side, not just the sad song about them being in jail, but then the upbeat side. Like, again, the Jungle Book with the bare necessities is easier to remember, but this Robin Hood one had that type of stuff too. So it's like that nice balance of the bad times are bad, but the carefree times are carefree or whatever. And mostly I guess I'm just curious to see how this holds up, and that obviously there's a lot of classic Disney stuff, and I mean, I guess if you really wanted to say what the best ones were, it's probably Cinderella, Dumbo, Bambi, like the really old ones. But I was surprised that this one is not, I don't know, that it's not one of the favorites, because to me it's the best. It's either this or the Jungle Book.
Yeah, well, but when people think about that era, the Jungle Book comes, that's the first thing people think about.
Yeah.
They don't necessarily think about this Robin Hood one.
Yeah, and I feel like, to me, they're both, not only because they came out around the same time, Jungle Book was a little earlier, but they're very similar in that, Little John in this is basically Baloo the bear. It's the same, it's just a big bear, same voice actor. To me, they're kind of like complementary, the two things.
Maybe it never got such a big play because there were so many Robin Hoods out at the time, like Robin Hood movies, Robin Hood TV.
Yeah.
There was so much of it. Whereas the Jungle Book, there wasn't. There was a Jungle Book movie made, I'm going to say, I don't know, late 40s maybe? But it wasn't the kind of thing that was all over the place. So an animated version of Jungle Book would probably be quite new.
Right. And in some ways, I mean, yeah, I guess I'm making an argument for why Jungle Book is better, but I also got to give Jungle Book props because it didn't Disneyify the story as much as most other stuff did. Like, particularly the Grimm fairy tales, like, it's so weird to read all of the original ones, and then Disney just turned them into schmaltz, where Jungle Book, and like the basic themes of the Jungle Book are still in the cartoon, because it is basically just about a a kid who has to leave the animal world and join the human world. The stories are a lot more all over the place. They're a lot more episodic or whatever. But anyway, so yeah, I looked this up and I was surprised how little info there really was about it. There wasn't really that much as far as interesting trivia or whatever that I could easily find. But this was Disney's Robin Hood, released in 1973, the 21st Disney animated feature film. So I guess that's the other thing, is that we remember all of the famous ones, but at this point there had already been like 15 of them that no one ever talks about and no one remembers. The Three Caballeros and the Song of the South and all this weird shit that everyone really just remembers: Bambi, Dumbo, Cinderella, Fantasia. This is also the first one that was entirely made after Walt Disney passed away. He passed away in 1966, and other stuff was already in the works. This is the first one where, right from the start, he was not involved. Although it kind of came from an old idea he had for, it's like an old folk tale called Renard the Wolf. Oh, here we go. Dutch, English, French, and German fables from the 12th century, where in these stories, he was an actual anthropomorphic wolf, and the other characters were also animals. So this idea that, because Disney did they weren't the only ones, obviously, to make animals be the main characters, but that was becoming more and more common. In those old ones, it was either like Cinderella is a normal person or Bambi are just animals. Like, they're not animal people, Where at this point it was getting more and more common for Disney to make the characters be animals, but it was kind of based on this old 12th century thing. So that's kind of interesting. So Disney was involved in that sense, that he always wanted to make a cartoon of Reynard the Fox, or Reynard the Wolf or Reynard the Fox, but he didn't want to do it because apparently these stories are really a lot of weird stuff in them. That he was like, this is not going to be marketable. This is too weird and too violent and too strange, which again probably explains why, as Disney went on more and more, that philosophy carried forward of like, well, if there's weird, disturbing stuff in it, just take it out. Fuck it. Fuck the Brothers Grimm. Let's just make this palpable for families. So yeah, I don't really have much in the way of info about this. Although one thing that was a little bit interesting is there's like a lot of the dancing in this movie is reused animation, like from Cinderella or whatever. They'll take those dancing scenes and redraw them with these characters. And I've seen two different explanations, where one of the explanations was they were running out of time and running out of money, so they just went back and took the old stuff. But the other explanation I heard that kind of made more sense to me, and I think is probably the actual truth, is it was a deliberate choice because they knew that worked. They're like, all right, we got these classic Cinderella dance scenes, perfect, everything's choreographed, everything's already worked out, and that it's not any faster. Basically they're drawing over stuff either way. Back in Cinderella, they were drawing over top of a film that they filmed of people dancing. Here they'd be drawing over top of the old Cinderella, so it's no faster. It was just more of like a reference of like, I know that works, I know that was great, let's just reuse that. And also it was 1973. They didn't even have an inkling about home video. So no one's going to remember this movie from 20 years earlier and realize it's the same dance. No one's going to know. So I feel like that's more why they did it, not just to cut corners. Just
could have been a combination, though. There's stories that when Disney died, they were really struggling financially throughout the mid-'60s. So it may have been a combination
right
of finances too. But obviously knowing something works, of course, you're stupid if you don't reuse it.
Yeah, and I mean, also, it's arguably, you could say, like an homage, even, I don't know, that's kind of the side I lean on, of just like, that sort of rung more true to me than just, it seems a little reductive to just be like, oh, they were just cheaping out at this point. But maybe some of that too. So yeah, I guess, again, so I was surprised how little interesting trivia there was about this, virtually none. So I guess mainly, like, I have general memories of it. It's obviously connected to the Jungle Book because the Baloo character is just Little John now. And yeah, like I said, that scene in the prison really sticks with me. I remember the whole song. That fucking thing is awesome. I can at least vouch for that scene. As for the rest of it, and I guess there's also King John in this is a tiger, sort of like Shere Khan. And isn't there? I think there's a snake in this too, like Kaa, I think his name was, the Trust in Me snake in the Jungle Book. So there's a lot of Jungle Books. This is kind of like the Jungle Book remix.
In medieval England.
Remix it into Robin Hood. So and yeah, as far as like animation quality and stuff, yeah, I guess we'll see. It's not going to be Fantasia, but oh man, speaking of bad stuff, in the mid 2000s, they actually put out Little Mermaid 2 and Bambi 2, like sequels to these movies. Yeah, like that's got to be the low watermark. I don't think things ever got as bad as like the mid 2000s for Disney. So this was one of their ebbs, maybe, but not a big one. So I don't know, I guess we'll see. And like I said, in my memory, this is my favorite one. So this is always it's a little dangerous to go back sometimes. What if it's no good? Oh man, that's also just, I hadn't even thought about this in forever, but you were saying how like you had Robin Hood shows when you were a kid. The one that was always on TV for me was Rocket Robin Hood. I think it was actually a Canadian production, and it was shit. It was like terrible animation. It was futuristic Robin Hood with a
Even had
jetpack.
the famous song, Robin Hood, riding through the glen. Robin Hood, with his band of men. Feared by the bad, loved by the good. Robin Hood, Robin Hood, Robin Hood.
Yeah, see, I don't know that song. I know the Monty Python one. Mr. Moore, Mr. Moore. Robs from the poor and gives to the rich, stupid bitch. I didn't realize that was from a real song.
Yeah, that's from Robin Hood, which was a British production. Actually, when we get back to watching early TV, we should check out
Yeah, I'll write it
some
down.
of the
Fuck it.
original Robin Hoods.
Hey, why not? Like, and I mean, it'll connect to this at the very least.
And those Monty Python guys, see, they're all as old as I am or whatever. They would have watched all that too. That's where Mr. Moore came from. I never thought about that, but that's it.
Yeah, because he was always donating to the poor some flour, lupins.
Yeah, lupins.
My bleeding cat choked to death on all these lupins.
That's a direct takeoff of Robin Hood.
But yeah, maybe we can do that next week. I'll look up some old Robin Hood TV shows and see what we can get. I'll fucking find a Rocket Robin Hood too, just so we can see.
Richard
how
Green
terrible.
was the star.
Cool. Nice. So yeah, look
Green
forward to
with an
that.
E, I do believe.
We'll look forward to that next week. So for this week, another nice bonus to this is since I haven't seen this in a while, just technology has improved to the point that, man, this looks good. Like, this has probably not looked this good since it was first in theaters. It's so clear compared to, like, the old VHS recording I used to watch as a kid. You know, this is, like, pristine. So that's kind of nice. So, all right, Robin Hood from 1973. Potentially a Disney classic. Fingers crossed.
Well, folks, that's the way it really happened.
I guess that's why the credits were so long at the start, because there are none at the end. It just has the end, which is just kind of weird because things don't do that anymore. So I guess,
Okay, so did it hold up?
well, I'd say, you know, I was saying at the start, I was surprised to see in like the Disney rankings that this is, you know, firmly in the middle. But I think that's actually extremely accurate. Like, it's obviously not one of the just forgotten ones, but like we were talking about the Jungle Book a lot. I think if I was to now watch the Jungle Book, like, I think I had them backwards. I think Jungle Book of this era is clearly the one, because that is just, it is just a middling Disney movie. Like, it's obviously just that I watched it fucking 50 times when I was a kid, because there's so many neat things about it, you know, the visual style and the whole setting and just Robin Hood. It's a fun idea. I like how the different animals and how they all relate to their job in the castle. But my memory is so selective. Like, I love that part I was talking about. Well, about an hour in, when everybody's in jail and it's raining, and then even the scene after that, it's not raining anymore, but it's still overcast when they go and
It's
break
dark.
everyone out.
That's the dark part where that's the conflict.
Yeah, there's like a good 25 minutes in there that is great. I still really liked it. But the rest of it is a lot more shallow than I remembered. Like, I mean, fucking Prince John is literally sucking his thumb because he's a baby. And it's just like, and yeah, they're really over explaining everything, which I guess you have to do. As a kid, it didn't seem that simple. But as an adult, I'm like, yeah, man, this is really, really shallow, much more than I remembered. And yeah, it's just ironic that I was making fun of the Phil Collins and Elton John love songs in the later Disney stuff, because clearly they're just following the same pattern. This had that literal exact thing. It had just a scene. I mean, it was shorter in this than it is in the later ones, but it's still
A
just
schmaltzy love song.
yeah, with fireflies and whatever the song was, literally just love is in the air, whatever, which is almost identical to Can You Feel the Love Tonight or whatever. Like, it's identical. But I didn't even remember that. All that stuff about, oh, I'm so in love with Robin Hood, I hope he remembers me. And, Rob, you're just thinking your head's in the clouds for Maid Marian. 0% of that was in my memory. All I remembered, basically, was the end. That last half hour, I remember. Although not the very end, because, again, it just wraps up. King Richard whatever came back. Everything's fine now. It's like, all right. So yeah, no, I'd say it's did not hold up. It held up even less than I was worried it might. It really doesn't hold up. It's really kind of a half-assed Disney movie, but I can see why I liked it so much because there's so much cool stuff in it. But
I do believe that is one of the Robin Hood stories, though, because I seem to remember when I mentioned the television show that we watched as kids. Yeah, they were always breaking people out of prison.
right.
So I think that is part of the actual Robin Hood story. I think it could have been much better if they had shortened down the first part. I know they needed to introduce people, but they could have shortened that way down and then had the drama at the end, the escape and everything. That was pretty dramatic, and it was well done.
Yeah, because it is funny too, though. Like compared to like Shere Khan or like these very scary, or even Lion King, like how his fucking uncle like tosses him off a cliff or whatever. Just like horrible shit happens. This guy is what a weird villain. He's such a wuss. He's such a baby. I mean, that's kind of neat in a way. So yeah, I guess that's how I would revise it. Where in my memory, I was like, that I always think of that as my favorite Disney movie, but I hadn't seen it in a long time. I will still say that scene where everyone's in jail and it's raining and the rooster sings the song is still my favorite scene in a Disney movie. But yeah, as far as best Disney movie, I think it's got to be Jungle Book. It's clearly better than this. But it's still that era. I still like this era the best. Because, yeah, like, again, it's like, even animation-wise and stuff, it's not Fantasia. It's not Snow White. But it's pretty good still. It's good enough,
Yeah, the animation isn't bad. It's just the story itself. Could have been, well, they had a narrator. They could have used that narrator more and tightened down the first part of it, because I think that was almost 3/4 of the show was the introduction to these people. I mean, we clearly got the message that Robin Hood is a good guy stealing from the rich to give them to the poor. We clearly got that, and we got it, and we got it, and we got it. They just overdid that.
Yeah, because like each scene that would happen that I would kind of remember, like, oh yeah, okay, the stagecoach thing and the, the archery competition and stuff. Like lots of neat stuff, but I do feel like it all just could have been taken down a notch. Like it was all so simple and so but again, I mean, I'm not fucking the Walt Disney Company. I don't know what I'm talking about. Like maybe when you make stuff for kids you just can't afford to not do that. I don't know. Because I certainly didn't realize that when I was a kid, that's for sure.
Although when we think about the classics, they started showing hardship quite early on, as I remember. The Cinderella story, they didn't dwell a whole lot on the fact that Cinderella's mother died, and it moves quite quickly into the evil stepmother and the two stepsisters, and she is this beautiful young thing, but she's cleaning the house, and they're at her all the time, and that happens fairly quickly. Whereas in this one, we got introduced to the little mouse family, and we got into the little rabbit family, and times were tough and things were poor, but it was not a bad life, and they just needed to move more quickly into conflict. Another one an example would be Bambi. I mean, Bambi's mother dies almost immediately. You're watching the little fawn, and all of a sudden the mother is killed by a huntsman, and it's immediate, and you start emoting immediately. This one, it just needed to move, introduce those characters quickly. I get that they need to introduce them, but do it quickly and then move into the conflict.
It is weird though. Like, yeah, I mean, I guess there's a lot of ups and downs with Disney, obviously, but it is strange that even the really, like I was saying, how as much as like The Jungle Book has a lot to recommend it. Last time I watched it, I was a little surprised that it's a little open ended and kind of a little indistinct. And Dumbo. Just out of curiosity, I watched Dumbo a while ago, and it's like amazing animation. And that part where the pink elephant's when he's drunk, super great. But then you get to the end of the movie, and you're like, man, there literally wasn't even a plot. There's no point to Dumbo. He just fucks around for a while and joins a circus or some shit and can fly. Like there is no story. Like it had even less than this.
Yeah, the story though to Dumbo is he's a misfit because he's got those great big giant ears.
Right.
And he just doesn't fit in that world.
So, I mean, it's just Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, but with less of a story.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Disney, I don't know. Yeah, it's weird. I mean, it's like if they follow a distinct blueprint, then that's something to be critical of because it's just the Disney formula. But if they don't, then it's like, well, what the hell's the plot of this thing? I don't know. I guess I don't have strong feelings about Disney at all anyway. I never really did. I'm not like a huge Disney guy. But I just wanted to go back and check out that one and see. And yeah, I think I have to. I think its place in history is accurate. It's just a middle of the road Disney movie. A lot of neat stuff in it. The sad part is the best sad part ever, and that's it.
And the escape from prison. That's very exciting.
Yeah, I would kind of tie those in together. Like I feel like that whole scene of like it's raining and then it's overcast and then. As they set the castle on fire, you can see the sun starting to come up. Like that whole 25 minutes is pretty cool. And then,
the love scene too, where we clearly got the message that Robin and Maid Marian love each other. Did they have to tell us like they told us and told us and told us? I think they could have tightened that up. They could have tightened up that whole part.
Yeah.
Shortened it up. And had it much more impactful. You only need to get the message once. And then you carry through it. You don't need to do it again and again. Yeah, loved. Yeah, got it.
Yeah, presumably, I mean, what did we say this was? Like the 21st Disney cartoon or something? So I think they had at this point, and how, like I was saying, how Disney himself didn't want to do Renard the Wolf because he was afraid it was a little too much weird old school 12th century stuff going on in that story. So I mean at this point I think they had probably just figured out that you got to keep it simple and you do need to repeat everything 8 times because that's how you become Disney. That's how you stay on top. That's how you get every kid in the world to want to go see your movies. You just got to make them kind of stupid. It must be such a good racket, right? Like if you can get every kid to blat at their parents to take me to go see the Disney movie, and then you get the ticket money for 3 kids, and then at least one parent, maybe both are going, and you get the ticket money for them too. It's a good place to be if you can be the king of the kids' cartoons. Because Warner Brothers certainly didn't succeed in that way. Like obviously the Looney Tunes cartoons are just better, I think, more interesting than Disney cartoons, but they're not the empire.
And I'm saying those old classics are wonderful, but you know what? Maybe they're not either.
Yeah, because again, it's like I watched Dumbo a while ago, but I haven't seen Snow White or Cinderella in like a long fucking time. So yeah, they probably got problems.
So, I mean, I saw them as kids. I've seen them, bits and pieces of them as an adult many times. But from start to finish, maybe they're not. Maybe they're not so shit hot either.
Yeah, but I still did like in this too, even though this, I was saying it kind of, the exact thing I was complaining about was in this movie. But it's still like it was shorter. Their love song in this was like 1.5 minutes. It was pretty short, and most of the music in this was really diegetic. It's just that the rooster happened to be around singing, or the sheriff is just singing a song to himself.
And that character, that Alan Adale, the minstrel, he is in the original Robin Hood stuff.
Right.
So
and I still
believable to have him in here.
And I just like this approach to music way better. It's not that I don't necessarily mind that there is music, but yeah, it became so distinct later on that it's like, here's the hit single, here's the song that's going to be on the radio, and you're going to listen to the whole fucking thing. Like that little romance part in this, imagine if that was 4.5 minutes long. And then like every Disney movie did that, and that was like intolerable to me. Yeah, that's where, at that point too, I was becoming a sarcastic teenager, but I was like, I can't even watch these anymore because those parts are so bad. They ruin everything. They ruin the whole thing. It was so refreshing when Shrek came out and didn't have music because they knew everyone was fucking tired of this smulchy shit. So they made jokes about it and they just didn't do it. So yeah, this was like that middle ground of like, I mostly like the music and I like that it's not so in your face. It's just kind of in there, just works its way in.
And even at the end, I said, oh, well, there's another one of those little schmaltzy love songs at the end. But it was very short. I would be surprised if that was 10 seconds.
Yeah. Yeah, this song, or this movie had a whole bunch of those, just weird little micro songs. Let's just throw it in, just humming some stuff.
Yeah, and see, that was Roger Miller's claim to fame. He sang a lot of those kind of songs that were radio hits. None of these that I remember.
Right.
Because I think these were made especially for this movie. But that...
Did he do King of the Road? Is that him?
King of the Road, yes,
Yeah.
he's King of the Road.
All right.
And another one, Dang It. I forget now the words to Dang It, but that was a big one too. But it was just, yeah, that kind of song. Yeah, he was quite a big name in the late 60s and the early 70s.
So, I mean, I guess that's interesting, too. That same thing that I criticized the later ones for, of like, let's just go get Phil Collins, let's go get Elton John. Like, they were doing that all along. It's not a new phenomenon. It just was a little less obvious back then in these older ones. They just kind of slip it in. But even that, like, I mean, again, if I think back to, like, The Jungle Book, like, its music was more like, we're going to stop and sing a song, but it's like the bare necessities. It's like a great all-timer song, so it's just kind of better. So anyway, yeah, I guess I'd say, again, the way that this is right in the middle of people's Disney rankings, I feel right in the middle about it. It's definitely not as good as I remember, but I'm like, whatever, still neat stuff about it. It's okay. But if anybody asks me in the future what my favorite Disney movie is, I would have said this, but now that I've watched it again, like, nah. It's like, there's a reason why this is not the top of the heap. It's just not as good as the really good ones. But hey, now we know. So, because I was saying too, it's like sometimes I hate going back to stuff, because what if it's disappointing? And I feel like this one, it's not that it's disappointing, it's just clearer now to me. It's like, okay, this is what it always was. I just forgot. My memory remembered the cool parts and just blanked out the Maid Marian parts, because I didn't give a fuck, and I still don't. So yeah, for next week though, I'll go dig up some Robin Hood TV, and why not get on a little Robin Hood kick?
We'll do a comparison of the animated version and some of that television show. And each episode, I think it's only half an hour.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that Horrible Rocket Robin Hood show I mentioned, it's one of those like 11-minute ones, so that'll be easy, and it's gonna be shit.
Well, yeah. Why don't you holler at one of those too?
Yeah, why not throw it in?
Sure.